All right, let me tell you a story. And this will be a story about the guy who started by flipping burgers at Burger King and ended up building a $45 billion fintech empire, only to see it crash by 85%. That's the story of Sebastian Siemiatkowski, the CEO of Klarna and the Swedish immigrant kid who refused to quit. Today, we are diving into his roller coaster journey from burger flipping to fintech domination, through betrayal, through boardroom battles, and $1 billion recoveries. And yeah, there are some lessons in there that might help you to get to your 8 figures. Let's dig into it. So Sebastian, he grew in Sweden. He was a son of Polish immigrants. And let me tell you something about immigrants. Immigrant families have 2 things in common: hard work and education. His parents weren't about to slack him off, and neither was the life. He tried every job you can imagine. He was the caretaker for elderly people. He was the school teacher. He was the telemarketer. But the one job that changed everything was Burger King job, because this was the place he met Niklas. And honestly, would it be a better place to find a future co-founder than Burger King? You see, the people who can handle stress, who can work as a team, and most importantly, who can make it through the shift without crying. Fast forward 2 years, Sebastian and Niklas are now at the Stockholm School of Economics. And there they meet their 3rd co-founder, Victor. Together they cook plan. What if people could buy things online, get the goods upfront, and pay later? It sounds genius now, but back then, not necessary. Sebastian pitched this to his supervisors at the factoring company. Absolutely zero interest as a response. They said, all right, it's fine. What we will do, we will package our idea into one really focused pitch deck, and we will go to this pitch competition at our university. So they're preparing, they're having their energy on, they have their pitch deck ready to go, and nobody is interested. They're completely losing it. Here is the moment, and that's an important moment in time where most of the people would quit. But Sebastian, he decided to channel his inner telemarketer, and he said, let's call merchants. And that's what they did. They called 5, they called 10, they called 50, they called 200, all rejections, until finally they landed Jane Wellrod, their first angel investor, who put in 60,000. Lesson for me from this is sometimes it's definitely not about being the smartest guy in the room. It's not about winning the competition, but just to be stubborn, just to continue trying, continue getting up, and continue doing it. Because without it, there will be no Klarna. Now, Sebastian 23 and his team is launched Klarna, and it worked. Online shopping wasn't about upfront paying anymore. It was about possibility, and funding followed. 2 million in 2007. Klarna started acquiring company as analyzed, which was the fraud management firm, Zofort, which was online banking firm. And now suddenly they're reaching to 14 countries, 43,000 merchants. And it was an absolute textbook execution. Step by step, they turned the local idea into the pan-European powerhouse. Now, 2021, Klarna is valuated at jaw-dropping $45.6 billion. Making it one of the biggest fintech companies in Europe. But here's the thing about valuations. They're like Jenga towers. One wrong move and the whole thing crashes. Crashing it did. 2022. Interest rates are rising. Tech stocks have a downturn, and investors shifting their focus from growth to profitability right now. Klarna valuation plummeted by 85%, down to $6.7 billion. Imagine that. One day you're riding a $45 billion under your belt. The next, you're scraping by cutting 700 employees. So what the guy did is he decided to cut 10% of the people, right? And he cut it 700 employees, and he wanted to do something good for those people. His option of doing something good was, what if I do a LinkedIn post where I will mention all these 700 people whom I just fired and propose other entrepreneurs who would like to have more people on board to hire them. Spoiler alert, absolutely worst idea ever. People hated it. He got absolute ton of hate from the LinkedIn community. People said that that's absolutely rude to post people you just fired. You are kind of spreading their contact data and stuff like that. But the shitstorm only started at that moment. Check this out. First of all, they have a data breach scandal. Basically, when you were filling out in the form the email of the person, autofill can show you their date of birth, their physical address, their phone numbers, all this type of stuff. Then comes the GDPR violation fines. Then comes a 46 million penalty for anti-money laundering issues. And while all of this happening, Sebastian is learning AI. Sebastian is not getting distracted. He's learning what he feels like is the most important thing right now. But the thing doesn't go better, things go only messier. 2024 brings a succession-style board drama. His co-founder, Victor, if you remember that guy from the university, he clashed with Sebastian over Klarna IPO plans. So Sebastian was all about, hey, we need to grow, we need to scale, we need to do an aggressive IPO, and we need to scale this one. While Victor's representative was something like, no, we need to be more wise, we need to be more slow, we need to be more focused. And that was the clash. Sebastian went an absolutely succession style. He convinced 6 of 7 board members to outvote this guy's Victor's representative out of the board. And now Sebastian owns all of it. He has the knowledge. He was investing heavily in AI. He has the whole board on his side, and he's ready to go. Now he comes back. 2024, profitability and revenue grew by 27%. They're gearing up for $20 billion IPO. It shows that Sebastian not just survived the storm, he turned it into the opportunity. Now, you heard the Sebastian story. What are the lessons we can learn? First of all, picking co-founders you worked with before. If you survive Burger King, together you can survive anything. Second of all, here's the quote of his. We created the idea of small startups, 8 people in each team, 2 pizza teams with the cross-competence background, preferably. So the idea is, instead of building a big structure, instead of building this typical pyramid, he divided teams into small 8-people teams. Each of the people have the different skills in order to make this team more flexible, and they kind of nurture the startup culture within the small teams within the company, which is a very interesting approach. This is something similar that I saw at Spotify, but here is what Klarna kind of works with it. One more quote, the third quote I like from Sebastian. In terms of lessons learned from my 18 years of building Klarna, I'm beginning to learn that you never quite know what you are doing. You never quite know it all. And that's absolutely freeing thought for me. He was doing it for 18 years and still learning new things and still knows that there is so much unknown outside the known, which is also the thought that I need to remind for myself. And I would say it's very helpful for bringing yourself forward and bringing yourself closer to those goals you have. So here we go. That was the Sebastian story. It wasn't just about building business. I believe it was about resilience. It was about grit. It was about learning about how to grow inside of the chaos. Now question to you, my dear listener or viewer. What is your $45 billion idea, and what is stopping you right now from executing? If you're enjoying this, leave me a review, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to hear this. See you next time.